Thank you for the introductions. Very good morning to one and all present here. And in this session today, we'll probably talk about some, fundamental things of data sciences. And if time permit, then we'll do one or two algorithms. So I'm just sharing my. So my screen is visible to all?
Yes, sir.
It is visible.
Yes, thank you.
Tapan sir. Tapan sir. அவர்தானே அது இது வேற யாரு ஏத்துரு
ஹலோ சார், மார்னிங் சார். சார் பர்ஸு கிடச்சிச்சு. ஆமாம், பர்ஸு கிடச்சிச்சின்னு சொல்ல தான் ஃபோன் பண்ணியிருந்தேன் சார். ஓகே, தேங்க்யூ சார். தேங்க்யூ சார். என்ன கபாலி ஸ்டைலில் சொல்கிறீங்க? ஓகே. ஓ, உங்களை பார்த்து அவர் தான் பேசிட்டாரா? சரி, ஓகே. ஓகே சார், தேங்க்யூ சார், தேங்க்யூ.
So participants, please mute. Kanagavalli madam, Kanagavalli Narayanan. Madam, mute பண்ணுங்க. Please mute. Kanagavalli Narayanan. Yeah. Thank you madam. தமிழ் தான் பேசுறாங்க அவங்க.
Oh, so is my screen is visible? Murugan sir, am I audible?
Yeah, sir, it is audible. Your presence, sir.
Okay. So because I don't know, because I am in the main screen, so I am unable to see whether I am connected or not.
Okay. I called madam, that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm really sorry. I'll continue.
No problem. Your presence.
Okay. So can I start with this slide or the previous one?
The previous one. You have to go for the previous one.
This one?
Yeah, this one.
Okay. So now this is the second picture, the corona and the coronavirus. So nowadays you have the lot of data is related to the COVID-19. So last 1 year, you cannot imagine how much data is created related to this keyword. So a lot of statistics is generated by the globally. WHO report or Ministry of the Health and Welfare, and then your state's data, your city data, your area data, your hospitals, the medical facilities, like lots of remedies or lots of app, digital marketing. So a lot of data is created this last March onward. So before, if you realize that the last year in the month of November, there is no as such the term COVID-19 as searched by in your any search engine. But nowadays daily the people are the searching this much of statistics. The use data is generated one single keyword, this COVID-19. So that's why the manual intervention is very difficult. So we'll go for the data sciences technique. So here this is the chart. So for data sciences, you have the knowledge of maths and statistics, you have the knowledge of computer science and IT, and of course you have the knowledge of the domain or business knowledge. So I will tell you, if you are not in the domain expert, you become a machine learning engineer, right? So you have the data in your hand, you have some databases. You go to the kaggle.com, you retrieve the databases, apply your sophisticated machine learning tools and technologies like supervised learning or unsupervised learning, and then you can predict the result. That is the one sort of the research, machine learning. And make sure you don't have the the deep knowledge of the IT peripheral, because Python is very good. There are a lot of libraries, and the very few lines of code you can generate the results, right? So you don't become the expert in the one domain, but you have the knowledge of that particular field. Okay, so machine learning. Fair. Then you have some database and you have to display as per your need. You can go for the software development environment. It's a developer or coder job. Then you have the very good in mathematics, and you can make a very good mathematical modeling based on the domain expertise. So this is fall into the traditional research. But as I told you, nowadays nobody is going for the traditional research. Why? Because the huge data is available. If the data is very less, and you have very good in the domain and you are the domain expert, then you go for the traditional research. But nowadays, if you Google any keyword, you have lots of data. So nowadays people are not working on the traditional research. Okay, and combination of these three, either you can say the computer science, mathematics and statistics, and domain knowledge, you can say I am a data science engineer. Right? Or you can say I know the traditional research, I know the machine learning, I know the how to develop the software. You are a data science engineer. So I'll take here one small example, and then we proceed how these three things incorporate, or how these three things is important for us. So I'll go to the Google, where I can, download the US dollar to the rupees conversion. I can download, choose the time span here. You can time span of, any data, like 2 numbers to 99. So you can, download the as much as data you want, and you can play on these data. So I download this data for last 1 year, right? So I download this data in last 1 year. This is the date, and the $1, what is the equivalent? So the latest price is mine in this case is the 74.45 rupees is equivalent to $1. Now this is your what? This is your data. This is your data, right? And I am using the Excel. I'm using the Excel as my software, or Excel my IT infrastructure, where the data is there. Now I have to tell something. I have to give some results based on what? Some mathematical analysis. So for example, I can write here, what is the maximum value in this period? What is the, minimum value in this period? What is the average value? And what is the standard deviation? Like that, we have to calculate these values, right? So I'll go to this, I'll write some IT knowledge, use my IT knowledge on so this is my maximum value. So last 1 year, the maximum value is somewhere around 77 rupees as compared to today's rate, right? Similarly, I can, find out my minimum value. So last 1 year, really sorry. So this is my minimum value, and similarly, I can, calculate my like that. Okay, so you can look at it. My maximum value in last 1 year is 76 rupees. My minimum value is 70 rupees. My average value is somewhere around 73 rupees. Now I want to predict what is the, on 10th November 2020, what is the value? So how do we, predict that? So basis on some so this is the information where I can use this is the Excel. This is my Excel, so I have some knowledge of IT. This is my what? This is my mathematical analysis, or you can say my statistical analysis is this. And third one is why this time? Why this is the time where the rate is 70 rupees? What are the external, effects? What are these external effects? What are those? They are the basis on some, trading or, election or some COVID situation, or you can say my, what is my foreign policies. So these are what? These come into your domain knowledge, your business knowledge. So if you have these three, then you can, more accurately, or you can say more precisely predict the rate of the 10th November, because it is the growing that time market as near to the festive seasons. So maybe the conversion rate is maybe because we have a lot of import or export. So maybe this is somewhere around 73.5, because economy is boosting this time because the Indian festival is going on. So you know the knowledge of, right, the IT, you know the knowledge of mathematics and statistics, and you know the knowledge of domain. If you combine these three, then you can precisely say that this is my data science approach. So I hope this is the small example you have clear. You can use this example and you can apply some machine learning algorithm directly. Okay. So this is, you can do the clustering also in this data. So the important aspect is, you know the knowledge of these three important things, then only you have to do something, right? So this is just an overview related to the data science. How do we incorporate the data science? So you have the knowledge of the IT. So you may Excel or Python or R programming, maths and statistics. Because whatever your inputs, what type of your output, so then only you can able to do the mathematical modeling part. And how do we do the modeling? What type of technology you are using? For example, I'm calculating the maximum value, minimum value, and average. So these are some statistics term. So you also have the knowledge of the mathematics and statistics for mathematical modeling. And of course, if you predict the dollar to rupees or rupees to dollar price, so you have the domain knowledge, as I told you, what is the trading impact? Is there any election in US or India? What is the COVID situations? It is the short of the medical facilities or the short of the ventilator systems, like that. And what are the foreign policy? Is we trading to the China or not? Like that. So many factors involved in this domain and in this experts. So if you have all three knowledge, then only you can say that I am a data science expert. So please, you have to explore, these three domain, then only you can very well, plot, analyze, or you can predict the values. So this is the one example related to the data science approach. Now my point is, where we can start this. So it is not necessary you have the knowledge of entire the circular part, right? So I'll just quickly tell about the cycle of the data science. And so suppose I download the data. I download the data from one of the site, and excelrates.com, where the dollar to the rupee conversions. So this is my data. Where it is reside? Data is always reside in the data warehouse. Okay. So we have the data warehouse. If suppose one of the column having the missing entries, suppose one of the column having the some miss entries. So we have to prepare our data. We have to just delete the data. So data preparations and data cleaning. Preparation means I download it in the form of Excel because I am comfortable with Excel. Somebody is apply the Python, so they can use the .csv format, that the comma separated value, for the preparing our own data. What type of data? Somebody is interested from dollar to rupees. Somebody is interested for the yen to rupees, Japanese to rupees, like that. So data preparation. Then if you have any empty cell, the result is not clearly visible, not displayed, not available, you can clean that data. You cannot consider in your modeling part. So data cleaning is important role. So this is the basically data warehouse where the different type of data is residing. You have to choose what type of data you require. So that is the data warehouse. Data preparation, what type of format you require. Data cleaning, right? For example, you have to do some kind of normalizations. So that also come into the part of data cleaning or removal of the noise. So these three things, orange one is the job of data engineer. These three things is the job of data engineers. And then when you have the data, and I can quickly tell you about, see the maximum value, that is 76 rupees in last 1 year, minimum value somewhere around 70 rupees, average value, standard deviation, like that. So you quickly analyze your data. So after the data engineering role, that is the job of data analysis. That is the job of the data. Once you have the data, and I'll ask one question: what is the value of $1 equal to the Indian rupees on 10th of November 2020? So you have to predict this value, then you have to do some kind of modeling. Here the role of the machine learning or the AI is come after the data analysis. So you apply the sophisticated tools and techniques and then evaluate the data. Once you evaluate, or once you make the complete, the tested model or bench or system, then you deploy onto the real world scenario. Once you have the deploy in the real world scenario, then the business people or domain expert decide should we take it inside or will discard it. So that is the important role of the domain expert. If the domain expert suggests that no, this data is perfectly fine, so we can include in our data warehouse. So the population or the size of data warehouse is day by day increasing, as suggested by the business expert. So here this 4-purpose block is basically the job of data scientist. The 3 orange one is data engineers, and 1 is the data analyst, right? So the role of the data analyst is very easy. Everything is available. You have to the fancy charts and the graph. You have to represent the data, and basis on that because the data is bulky, voluminous. So because of this representations of the data in the different format, you can quickly analyze the data in one go. Otherwise, if you just look at the value on 2nd November, the $1 equals to 76. 3rd November, 76.50. 4th November, 76.45. Like that, you cannot, give the answer. So for analyzing tools, we have the different type of charts. We will again discuss this in our, the later slide. So this is the role of the data scientist. So you can work on, it is not necessary you have to work on the complete model. You can work on the data preparation part. You can work on the data cleaning part. You say work on only on the data analytic part, or you can apply some machine learning algorithms and increase the data volume by your own expertise. So this is just a role of this model. Now, the important point is when we talk about the data sciences, where my data is, structured or not. So structured data or not. So here we'll talk about some data types. What do you mean by data types? So it is not exactly related to your, language data type. Like I'm not talking here what is integer, what is float, what is, character or, the string. Here we'll, because we simply provide this data for the analytics and you do some mathematical modeling to our software, Python or R. So we have, divide our data, for fast processing. So we have divided my data in 2 parts. One is the numerical and another one is the category. So this is very important point. I'm not talking about here the language terms. It is just a normal term. So numerical means the continuous one. So wind of the speed. Wind of the speed. Continuously you have to measure this value like that. And if you have the discrete data, means if you have to tell me the wind speed from morning 10 to 11 is 1.7 kilometer per hour, like that. So if you define in the interval, that means it is data in the discrete form. So we have to divide it in data in continuous. Continuous means you can see that my data is in float. Discrete means you have fixed the count, number or values. So you can tell them it is my integer portion. Then also you can, divide my, categorical data. So for example, I have the smartphones. So this is on operating system. I can divide my, mobile phone. So I have my, Android OS, somebody having the BlackBerry OS, and one person having the Apple iOS, and someone is some other OS. So I divided my, data in basically a 4 category: Android OS, BlackBerry OS, Apple OS, or Windows OS. So this is the categorical demonstrations, right? So each of the mobile belongs to one category. Similarly for the TV, my TV screen is maybe a plasma, maybe a LCD, maybe a LED, or maybe a OLED or 4K, whatever. So you have the fixed bucket. Every content belongs to at least the one bucket. Belongs to the one particular bucket, right? Now my point is, if this belongs to the one bucket, then the second category is binary. Binary means only the 2 classifications. Only 2 classification is there, that is belongs to the binary category. For example, I have the in my mobile phone whether you have Android OS or not. So this is the 2 category. And then the special category of this is a ordinal category. Ordinal means when you they take the feedback from your students. So you have to write the 5 is for the higher one, and the 1 is for lower one. You have not divide your the expectation or the feedback in 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. So you just simply write the ordinal category like excellent, very good, good, average, poor. So you fix the 5 category. You can make it 3 also: excellent, good, average. So it is the ordinal category where you can change your correlation. You can change the value distribution bucket. So number of buckets you can change it. But the nominal, the fix, we will start the fix. But ordinally you can you can change. Binary, it is a special type, only the 2 category. So this is the data type. Why we are forcing this? Why we? Because now the Python automatically assign the data type. But if you divide initially, then the fast processing come into the picture. Because as I told you, voluminous data take a lot of time. You have the special dedicated hardware to apply these approaches, methods. So we have to divide our data, and basis on this data, you can also may suggest immediately the different type of chart or plot, different type of techniques. So in initial round, you can already suggest the method, techniques, if you do the data types initially. So I hope this is clear till now. If you just a moment, I'll okay. So Abhishek, Professor Abhishek Mahajan asked the continuous variable. So I'll tell you, Abhishek, sir, the continuous means the if you talk about the sampling or as a communication engineers, the value is changes every seconds, or and during the one interval they have the infinite number of samples, so that fall into the continuous. So for example, if you I'll give the example from the wind speed. So you have continuously monitored the wind speed in every time slot, time stamping, right? So that fall into the category of continuous, right? Yes, mode. Right. So I hope this is. Four or five different operating systems. So I'll make a 4 bucket. One bucket for Android OS, one bucket for Apple, one bucket for but for example, for example, just a 1 minute, please. Okay, I'm really sorry. So here we talk about the nominal category is when you divide your data, you have to, you can increase basis on your data. So for example, initially I found the 100 sample, and in 100 sample, suppose all are the Android phone, so I'll make a 1 bucket. But then I realize in the 101 to 4, 5, 6 samples is an iOS sample, so I'll make a 1 bucket of the Apple iOS. Then I'll go for the entire data content. Then I'll look for 3, 4, 5. So based on my data, I can make a bucket. So that is fall into the nominal category. And the special type of nominal categories are binary and ordinal, right? So although the data is not, but we forcefully put into the buckets. So in feedback, I know the student can give you the feedback in 3.5 also, but I forcefully give the either 3 or 4. So this is the special type of data which fall into the ordinal category, right? So does it my answer from my side? If you have any question, you can put into the chat box. Okay, so the Pranjal Srivastava is give the right answer. I think it is not the question; it will give you directly the answer. So discrete means here definitely the count. Discrete means definitely give you the count, where continuous not give you the count. So that's why I'll tell you, when we talk about the data type of numerical continuous, will take the value as float. Whereas when we talk about the data type numerical discrete, we'll talk about the integer. And count, fixed value. So thank you for the nice insight of this type. So yes, definitely the age, or if we fix the number of counts, for example, I'll take the from 8 to 9, I'll take the 10 observations. So that fall into this category, like that. Okay, so once again I'll check. Okay, so no more question. So we'll go over next slide. So before I start this, the estimation or I'll give some, lights on my data. I'll tell you. Just a moment, please. Okay, so whenever we talk about the okay, so whenever we talk about the basically the data, so number one, keep in mind is our data is in two format. One is the structured format. Second one is the unstructured format. So here we'll talk about only the structure format. And basically in a structure format, data is available in, in the rectangular format, you can say. Data is available in the rectangular format. So where every row like R1, R2, R3, R4, and like that, different, data. You have the thousands of rows. These rows is nothing but your record. What? Your record. So number one is you have rectangular data, or this is also known as the data frame. Then you have rows. This is known as the record, or you can say the samples, or you can say the input, and like that. So many terms. Then you have also the column. This column is what? This is your features. This column is your features, right? And in the last column, somewhat they will give you the last column. You can say this is my output, or this is my target. Okay, so like that. So number one is whenever you have the data, you have all the rows. All the rows is what? Your record, your samples, your input. And then the column is what? Column is what? Your features, right? So based on that, you can do the modeling, right? You can do the modeling, and the sum of the data, the output column is available. If the output column is available, or your output and target is available, and so suppose, for example, some other row R5. Now I'll give you the some insight. So this is on this basis on this values. If this all four rows, row number 1, 2, 3, 4, these four rows, if they have the output, and you want to predict the output of row 5, so that means these all four data is now, you can say my data is labeled. What do you mean by data is labeled? That means if every row having the some target output, that means my data is labeled. You can apply the supervised algorithms. When the data is labeled, that you can apply the supervised. If it is this row is not present in your data, The target function is not available. This is on their own information, discover and predict the output that is unsupervised part. Okay. So again, once again, I repeat, you have the data in the rectangular format. This is known as the data frame. Every row is your record, sample, or inputs. Every column is your, features. And then you have to do what? You have to do what? You have the rows. Rows means input. This is your model, which comprises on what? The features. And you can, predict some, output. So this is the basically the job. So you have thousands of rows, thousands of the rows data, and it's each row we have corresponding some features. These features may be at different values. Features here I'm just copy paste. So this may be some different values, right? So based on these features, we have classify some category. That means my data is output or target is my what? Sampled. Labeled, sorry. This target is labeled. So when we talk about the labeled, then you can apply the supervised algorithm. Otherwise, if this row is not available, this target value is not available, you can apply the unsupervised learning. We will discuss in my last slide what is that. So initially you have rectangular structured data, rows or records, column, features. If the output is available in the last column, that means target is available. Now you have to do the data analytics, or you have to do the data modeling or apply the machine learning algorithms. So you have rows, inside you have model, and then you can predict the output like this. So this is the just overview. Now, what type of the features you can calculate, extract for given data. So one of the dimensions of the data is what? The location based. So what is mean? So mean is just nothing but you have add all the sample values and divided by the number of samples. So this is the mean. And then the another, when we talk about the data science project or applications, we prefer, rather than mean, we prefer the weighted mean. Why we go for the weighted mean? Because my data is coming from different sources. Nowadays, the people are working on the Internet of Things, where a lot of sensors is mounted, and you have to get the readings of all the sensors. So when we collect the reading from different sensors, some of the sensor will give you the less value because of due to the some amplifier. Some are very close to the destination, so they will give you the large amplitude value. So for that purpose, because data is coming from the different sources, we have to, you can say that we have to normalize the values. So we'll give you the accurate results. So we'll do one thing. In each of the sensor, we multiply some weight. Each of the sensor is multiplied by weight, and then add all the weight and sensor values, and we add them and divide it by the number of weights. So this is the approach of weighted mean, and most of the time we are using the weighted mean because our data is coming from the different sources. As I told you, we have the different features, F1, F2, F3. These are values are the difference. Some is the age, some is your the liabilities, some is your what is number of credit cards. One of the feature is how many you have number of loans, and what is your assets, what is your liability. So every features is different. So for example, I have two features. What is the the bank balance in my account and in my age. So you cannot, compare these two features individually. Because age is, the normally ranging of 18 years to the 100 years. But you cannot, the basis on age, you cannot predict my account balance. Maybe sometimes somebody having the account balance is 0 or 100, or maybe some of the persons having the more than of lakhs of rupees. So every feature is having the different values, and in every feature values, maybe some discrepancy or the knowledge or the value is not available. So far like that, we have, for example, I am the Indian citizen, one is the US citizen, one is the Chinese. So how do we compare the balance amount? So you have to corresponding weight, you have to multiply, and then you can add it like that. Okay. So based on the weight is what? Their currency factor, we multiply the balance amount, and then we calculate like this. So we prefer the weighted mean. When what is median? Median is nothing but you have to just the center value, or you can say my 50 percentile value. What is median? You just arrange in the either ascending or descending order. What is the center value is your median. Similarly, if you arrange this values in ascending or descending order, but the value variation is very high, so we multiply first the initial value by the weight, and then we can arrange it. First, we multiply the initial values of each data with the respective weight, and then arrange and find out the median. That is the weighted median. Now, we observe that most of the time either we prefer the weighted mean, and then also we prefer the trimmed mean. That? So, for example, if you conduct the test in your class, and you have 50 students in your class, and you take a quiz of 100 marks, and when you enter the data, right, and the passing is 40, and you have just to create a list of the passing students. So when you enter the marks, and by default, sometimes you enter the wrong value, let's say 10, 20. And sometimes instead of 80, you type 180. Or 11, you can type 110, like that. So if your data is not within the range, that means if I consider from the past student that range from 40 to 100, and if my data is below 40 or more than 100, I can just drop these values. Why? Because they are not give you the right result. By mistake, it is the error. And if we consider these values, our exactly the mean changes, right? So that time we arrange all the values in ascending or descending order, and we can check the initial value whether this value is fit for our range or not. If not, we can trim the values from the extremely lower end or the extremely higher end. We can remove this value, and then only we can calculate the mean. So this is the example of the trimmed mean. Then the robust, not sensitive to the extreme values. So as I give you the example of the bank balance in your account, so maybe your system is robust. For example, I have the balance as 100 rupees, and you have the balance of lakhs of rupees. So our system is robust to maintain the extreme values as well, right? So this is the example of robust. And then the opposite is outlier. Outlier is data is very different from our data. So for example, by mistake, if I type 110 marks is not more than 100. So these are the term is outlier. One is robust is different. How much your data is the capable, or how much your model is capable to take the values, extreme values, or its resistance power. But outlier is somewhat different. Outlier is if the range is fixed, my maximum value is 100 is fixed, but you by default or by mistake you will get the value in some minus value or 110, like that. So these are the estimation. But this estimation is based on only the one dimension. Only the small formula and one dimensionally you can estimate. But if you go to the, the, the another dimension, that is important. Okay, so this is the variability based, or what is the observation based. You can analyze the based on the actual data. So this is the another kind of estimations. The people are frequently use these estimations. So what are those? These are the deviations. Deviations is nothing but you have the difference between the reference value and observed value, right? So for example, for this particular sensor will give you the reading of 5 ampere and you have estimated the value of 4.8 ampere. So that is the difference of 0.2 ampere. That is known as the deviation, or you can call as the error or residual, right? So this is the deviation. If you have the deviation may be a positive and deviation may be a negative. So most of the time when we talk about the deviations, so we have to calculate the mod values. But if you take the square sum of these deviations and divided by the number of observations, this is known as the variance. What do you mean? If you square the deviations, right, and then divided by the number of values or observations, it is known as the variance. And then the square root of this variance is known as the standard deviations. Why? Because you have the negative value, you have the positive values. So you square and then square root, that means you will calculate the exact, variance of exactly the deviations. So it just standard deviation is just like you have to calculate the equilibrium distance of 2 points. You have x and y coordinates of 2 points, x1, y1 and x2, y2. And if you calculate the distance between these 2 points, what is those? This x1 minus x2 square plus y1 minus y2 square. So here we have take the difference and then square, number one. And then we'll calculate finally the square root. So this is the equilibrium distance, and this is just like a standard deviation. It is also known as L2 norms or equilibrium norms, right? If you only take the modulus value of individual component, mod means square and square root of individual values, that is known as the L1 norms, or you can say the Manhattan norms. So what is distance? x1 minus x1 mod, x1 minus x2 mod, plus y1 minus y2 mod. That is the Manhattan distance. This is also known as mean absolute deviation. Similarly, this, if you calculate the mean, you can apply for the same value of median, pick up the center value of the deviations. You have the lot of deviation values, you bunch of deviation value, you pick the the center deviation value. So you can then the most important is the range. Range is very important. The difference between the largest to smallest. That means a rank, right? So largest to smallest, why we may have to calculate? Because when we convert this value into normalization form. What do you mean by normalization form? So suppose I have two features, let's say F1 and F2, okay? And here it comprises on the edge. So let's say I have the edge. This is my edge. And here I'll tell you F1 is my edge, and whereas F2 is let's say loan amount. So This is my loan amount, right? And suppose I have to, and this is the belongingness, whether the customer are default or not, right? Yes, no, yes, no, like that. And suppose I want to predict the Tapan is a default customer or not. So, for example, my age is 40, and I take a loan of 2 lakh rupees. I have to predict my this. Suppose I have to calculate the cost function. Cost function is, suppose I have to calculate the equilibrium distance. So if I calculate the equilibrium distance between these two terms and these two terms, so more term is relies on these factors. Why? So deviation is what? 1,70,000, like that. So there are lot of deviations. So if you add these values, square root and square root of this, it won't impact on this particular feature because this is very less value. So how do we avoid these kind of problems? How do we avoid these problems? So one feature is very small values, very small deviation. Another feature is very large value, very high deviation. So when you square root and sum up these features, there is no impact of the age field. So for that purpose, to solve these kind of problems, you have multiple features and their value is entirely different of one features to another. We will do the normalization. We'll do the normalizations. So there are variety of the way to do the normalization. So basically, do the normalization means you have to fit the value between 0 to 1 or minus 1 to 1 or minus 0.5 to plus 0.5, like that. Okay, so are you getting my question? So my question is, why we use range? So the range is basically the difference between the largest and the smallest value. And what is the impact? So sometime if we have the two features F1 and F2, and the F1 is the 2-digit number, whereas F2 is the 5 or 6-digit numbers. So the F2 feature is more influential on our data rather than the F1 features. So how do we avoid this problem? So this problem we can easily avoid with the help of normalization. So what is this? Normalization means you have the sample value. What is the value minus whatever the minimum value of that particular column divided by the range. Range means max value minus min value, right? Divided by the range. So this is the formula. Sample value minus minimum value divided by maximum value minus minimum value. So this is the formula to convert the normalize. If you convert this, so automatically when you normalize the things, then what happened? Then the value is ranging from the normalization, the value is ranging from 0 to 1. So now both the feature having the equal weightage because the ranging is from 0 to 1, right? So this is the way when when the number of features is large and they are very there is no such relations, and one of the features is more influential in the entire results. So we can do the normalization. Okay. Then the order statistics based on the value from, sorted from smallest to biggest. Range, we just find out two values, but if we, entire value, if we arrange, then that means the order statistics, then we can predict more results, because in order statistics, then we can easily apply the percentile part. We can pick the first 25 samples or 25% samples, last 25% sample, middle samples. So like that, you can check the, after apply the order statistics, you can check the percentile, or you can also check the, interquartile percentile, the difference between the 75 percentile and the 20. So the top 25% results and the bottom 25 results, you can also predict some value. So that fall into the interquartile ranges. And this, okay, so I'll go to the questions. I'm really sorry, I'm not couldn't see the questions. Okay, so okay, so sir, Bala Murugan sir is asked the pH value is continuous or discrete or nominal one. So now I'll tell you, sir, if you calculate the pH value, I don't know how to calculate what are the phenomena behind, because it's for to calculate this pH value, what type of device you are using. So for example, if you have the pH meter and you insert it into the groundwater, and the continuously the value or reading is changing. If the continuously is reading is changing, that fall into the continuous category. But if I tell you what is the if you I talk about the one single value in this particular water sample, not the flowing water, this particular water sample of my bucket, what is the pH value? So that pH value is fall into the what? The discrete one. That, or number of observations. You Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah, I'm really sorry due to some network connectivity. Okay, so the question asked by the sir is, oh, really sorry, my chat is, you know, due to the network connectivity, I don't have the chat. But I have the question. So I'll tell you, if the flowing water, if you calculate the reading by the pH meter, if it is continuously changing, that fall into the continuous. If you have the, you know, stored the water in the bucket, or you can, you know, take the reading in average reading of every hour, that fall into the discrete one, the number of counts of your readings, right? So I take 5 readings, I take 6 reading, I take 10 readings, like that. And if you know, the pH value is ranging from 7 to 14, I'll put into one bucket. Less than 7, I put into some other bucket, like that. That you can, you know, make a categorical distribution as well, right? So the number of the samples you take out is fixed. So as you mentioned that the 40 samples, so the count is fixed. The number of sample count is fixed. That fall into the which category? That fall into the discrete categories. Okay. And I have the groundwater quality parameter of 40 different locations. For example, pH value of 40 sample is different. It come under what category of the data? So if you tell them the 40 different locations and you have 40 samples, then you have restrict the count. You fix the values. You fix the number of samples. So sir, this fall into the discrete category. And yes, there are a lot of the apart from the Euclidean and Manhattan norms, there are a lot of other distance is there, and different, you know, calculations is also there, the correlation based approach. So we'll discuss the one or two here if my slides is, you know, completed. So I'll go back to my presentation and then we'll you know, give the question answer. So I hope my screen is visible, and we have just completed the interquartile ranges. Then the most of the time when we talk about the data science, so the data analyzation is the important point. So the based on your data distributions, So for example, here if you have the data in the continuous fashion or the discrete fashion, the distribution type, we will prefer these kind of plots, either in the box plot. It is the simplest, or or not simplest, it is a quick representations or visualization of the data. Sometimes it is also known as the box or the whisker plot. Very easy, one line code of all these values. So don't bother about the things, you can represent. Go through the Python and the just to add one library and you can visualize the thing. Frequency table, it is just based on the range or the counts. So for example, in my class, the height from 4 feet to 5.3 feet is number of the students. Ranges. So you just decide the range. So this is the frequency table. Okay, so divide it into the small intervals, break into data into the intervals, or you can call as the bins, and then you can make a table. Histogram. So most of the time we will talk about the histogram, basically used in image processing. So suppose one image is consist of the smallest element of the image is pixel, that is picture elements. So suppose in x-axis, if you write the pixel range, so if we talk about the pixel range, if 8-bit image, it is ranging from 0 to 255. So if you have the x-axis is 0 to 255, and y-axis, how many 0 pixel in the image? So let's say 10. How many pixel of pixel value 1? Let's say 15. like that. So in x-axis you have the pixel value, and in y-axis the number of occurrence of that pixel is fall into the histogram, right? And histogram is what? 10, 15, 20. These are the values. So see, these are the some square values, like 15, 20, 15, 20. If you plot densely and draw the smooth curve, draw the smooth version of the histogram, and basis on the some kernel density estimation, that is known as the density plot. So the block of the histogram is represented by the block, and when you combine the middle values of each block and draw the smooth version or draw the some curve, it fall into the density plot. So again, that's why I'll tell you, first you decide what is the type of data. So then you can clearly visualize your data. You can also, suggest what type of exactly chart is important. Then the categorical data, if you have, then you have to, mode based expected values. So when the category is, the fixed, you have the occurrence of probability lies in one of the, bucket. So mode is basically what? Mode is basically the maximum occurrence of that particular one category. So suppose I have 10 samples of marks of my students. Let's say, 10, 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9. So 5 times is 9. So the mode of my number is 9. So most commonly occurring category. So category is what? For example, the most of my participants having the Android mobile phone. That is the mode, Android OS. So like that you can distribute. Expected values, basis on the values, you can predict what is my next mobile operating system. Bar chart. Bar chart means frequency proportion of each category. So for example, I have 100 mobile phones. 80 belongs to the Android, 15 belongs to the Apple iOS, 3 belongs to the Windows, and 2 is another. So you have the proper distribution. So 18, 15, 3, 2. So that is known as the bar chart. And if you, same bar chart, if you have the portion format or the pie format or bread format, so the distribution of the frequency. Like that. So one particular pie you have to divide. So one is represent basically the 100 samples or entire sample, and then the distribution you have to like that. And then somebody asked me the geometrical or there. So there are also the many approaches in there. So correlation based approach is there. So correlation means, for example, you have two variables like X and Y. Right. So if you increase the value of X, the simultaneously the Y value is also increased. If you increase the value of X, Y value is decreased. So they are they're less correlated, highly correlated. So you can also calculate the correlation coefficients. It's ranging from -1 to 1. Right. Similarly, if you have the number of rows and columns, you can apply the correlation matrix and find out which particular column and row is closely associated. And then for the correlation based purpose, we have the very good plot in scatter plot. So just put the dot, and you can easily, when you put the data in X, Y or 2D domain, so you can clearly observe the dense portion. Right. So clearly observe the dense portion with the help of scatter plot. So you just explore. There are a lot of variety of the plotting strategy to represent or analyze the data is available. So I hope this is I covered the just foundation of the data sciences. So now you have any questions, any suggestions related to my topics, you can feel free ask. I'll just go to my chat box. So thank you very much for the patiently listening for me, and I hope this is useful for your research and the other purpose. So